Hello, hello. I think this is right. I'm not quite sure. Let's see if people pop up. If a singular person pops up, that means something's happening right. And if not, I'm doing something wrong. So I need to end whatever that was. Yeah, that is not right. Hello, hello. Something is not right. Oh, there's a person. There's a person. Can you guys see me? I have no idea what's going on, and I was trying to set up events and do a whole bunch of other live stream stuff, but I don't understand how it's working. What's up, Kenneth? How's it going? So it seems like it's working. It seems like I'm appearing. Can you hear me? Yeah, let me know if it's working. Cool. All right. Awesome. Good to see you guys. I'm gonna wait a little bit before I actually start talking about Myers Briggs so that we can get people in here. But it's awesome to see you. Awesome, Viva, Jed, Kenneth. That's awesome. This is fun. Yeah, it was surprisingly complicated trying to figure out how to go live and talk. So yeah, let's try this. Hopefully it's informational, clear, concise, all that fun stuff. And I can practice communicating and, just talk about stuff that's on my mind. Let's wait a little bit more. Yeah, they can definitely be a lot sometimes. I was scrambling around. I was trying to do it at 6:30, like 30 minutes ago, but I just couldn't hit it. Like trying to make a thumbnail and run around all over the place and find like markers and stuff to talk about. Yeah, so had to get it all set up. How are you guys doing? Let's see. What else is going? What else can I check to make sure it's working? Also, here's a question. Are these letters forwards or backwards? Hey Scott, how's it going? Hey Austin. When I tried the live stream before, this looked forwards, but like for me, when I'm looking at my computer screen, it looks backwards. So I just want to make sure for you guys, it's forwards. Thank goodness. All right, it's forwards. We can. That would be pretty bad if I had to write backwards for this entire screen. Or like mirrored. Sorry, not. Cool. Wow, there's quite a few people here. Scott, Kenneth, Austin, Don. Awesome to see you guys. What's your guys's interest or like knowledge, background knowledge with Myers Briggs currently? Because there's definitely things at the end after I just run through what it's about. I want to answer some of your questions or dialogue, or maybe you guys think Myers Briggs is sort of BS, and that's totally fair. And we can talk about that. Only familiar with the name. Okay, cool. This is awesome. I absolutely love Myers Briggs personality testing. So it's a personality test. A lot of people are super into it and also into the Enneagram or something. I'm not quite as familiar with the Enneagram. But yeah, Myers Briggs, it's honestly, I'm not a big fan of personality tests in general, but the way that Myers Briggs sort of sorts things out, the distinctions it makes, it's, for the way my brain works at least, helped me connect with others and understand them a lot better. And avoid conflict a lot better, and also know myself a lot better. So yeah, ENFP for Superfill Stories. It's funny thing you should mention that. Most of my friends, I like just happen to be ENFP, which is sort of interesting. Oh, okay, yeah. My mom's mentioning very kindly that the light is reflecting right here. But I think that when
Can you straighten the board?
It'll be fine on the screen. Yeah. Thanks, Mom. So Mom's looking out. Yep. All right. We've got 8 minutes or so before we really break it down. So a little brief thing. Myers Briggs is sort of cool because it separates into 16 different categories, 16 different personality types. I sort of like that it's 16 different things, because there's some that try to break like all of humanity into 4 different personality types, and I just think that's sort of silly, because there ends up being a lot of overlap or disconnects or things don't quite make sense. And I also really like that Myers-Briggs doesn't like directly, it might make statements about how you think or how you act or your tendencies and stuff, but it doesn't ever assign like direct quality traits, character traits to your personality type. Like it's not like, oh, the dog personality type is always loyal and friendly and bubbly. I just think that you can't really make character decisions based on like a test or like a character type. So I really like that it adds nuance and talks about stuff, but also doesn't make generalizations that I can't really make that gap. When did I start YouTube, Austin? That's a hard question to answer. I made YouTube videos back in 2008. I made Lego stop motion videos. And when YouTube basically, was really early in the game, there was no algorithm, and there was a while, like my channel was blowing up. It was doing great. Like whenever, like you could search like Lego Star Wars or something like that, and my videos would pop up right to the top. So we would get like 50,000, 100,000 views on a bunch of all the videos. And like total, that channel got like, I forget if it's 2.1 or 3.2 total cumulative views. So that would be my introduction to YouTube, but that was when I was in middle school, basically. And then after that, I didn't really use YouTube. I just made skits with friends or videos for work. And then in 2015 or so, I started making it like a portfolio, basically, like a bunch of my old videos, a bunch of fun trips and stuff, but there was no like interacting with the audience or anything. It was just basically like a portfolio. And then in March, end of March of 2018 is when I was like, I want to vlog. I want to make YouTube videos. I want them to involve me. I want to be in front of the camera. I want to do that type of stuff. And after that, that slowly evolved into less like vlogs and more video essays, where I get to share my thoughts, and less about my day, more about my thoughts. And I just found that sort of balance worked way better for what I'm passionate about, and who I am. Hey, Justin, good to see you here. Yeah, so I've had like on and off with YouTube for a long time, but this is basically, I guess the real answers to it would be back in middle school, 2008, and now March, end of March, 2018. Was when I was like, I'm going to post weekly. I don't know how it's going to work. I don't quite know what it's about, but I want to share my story, share my journey. And then that slowly evolved into a more specific thing. Thanks, guys, for sticking around. I really appreciate it. And I see, oh man, I don't know. With this whole channel, I always want to talk about things that are like genuinely on my mind, genuinely things I'm figuring out, genuinely things that I'm passionate about. And so I figured with this live stream, like I got to pick a topic that I like, I don't know. It's just, I think about it all the time, and I can talk really easily about it without it needing a script or any of that. So, wow. Jesse, you're here. Awesome. Eric, nice to see you. Yeah. Uh, let's see. So yeah, Myers Briggs. We're talking about. I've. Here's the interesting thing. I'm gonna break down. Um, I'm gonna break down some of the distinctions or like important misconceptions about Myers Briggs real quick before I start. But yeah, one interesting fact about Myers Briggs is when I first was introduced to it in high school, I took it and I got, result A. And then I took it in college and I got result B. And it wasn't until I sort of researched and understood what the test was about and what it meant. And also my, I don't want to say personality, like my self-awareness basically solidified. And so that's ever since then, I've been like, all right, this is what my personality type is. This is what it's about, which is just a reflection of this test doesn't really work if you don't know yourself very well. It's not a horoscope. It shouldn't be telling you something about yourself that you don't already know, because if you don't already know it, you're going to be answering all the questions wrong. And yeah. Okay, Jesse. Yeah, this is exactly why I want to do this. I want to breeze through it. I want it to not be just random letters. After you answer some questions, I want you to be able to understand what it means, what it's about. And I don't know, like when I'm interacting with other people, usually there's disconnects. There's like, areas of conflict. And using the context of Myers-Briggs, it really helps me figure out quicker maybe what that difference is so that I can empathize or connect or help or whatever that person a lot quicker. INTJ. That's a good one. I was hanging out with someone yesterday who was an INTJ. Cool. All right. So we're about to start. 1 minute. If anyone has, yeah. First, your style is dope. I like every one of your videos. Your original positive. Ejo, he is one of the most affirming people ever. He leaves the best comments, and he has a superpower in that he not only makes his own content, but he also seemingly watches everyone's content and watches like a lot of it, not just one video here and there. He is everywhere. It's a skill. So awesome to see you here, Joe. So, all right. That's totally fine. All of this will be able to be replayed later, and hope it'll be sort of like a little short seminar, crash course. And I'm going to try to make it just bam, bam, bam. All right. So let's just start. I'm going to start talking. If you guys have any questions, comments, any of that stuff, leave them, interact, and I will answer them afterward. Also, like, if you've never interacted or heard of Myers-Briggs before, hopefully I'll give you examples or like be able to explain it in a way that you can be sort of self-diagnosing yourself of like what your personality type might be. Hey, Audrey's here all the way from China. That's super awesome. Okay, so we're here to talk about Myers-Briggs personality type. Personality test. It's very popular, but it's sometimes hard to understand. And so I want to break it down and explain it so that a normal person could really get what the test is about. And yeah. All right. So the way Myers-Briggs personality test works, the easiest way to do it is you go to 16personalities.com and you answer a variety of questions. The more honestly you answer, the more accurate your final results are. And also the more you know yourself, the more accurate the final results are. And it sort of spits out this 4-letter code of what your personality type is. But it's a little difficult to understand sometimes what the letters actually mean. So that's what I wanted to specifically break down today. First off, though, before I start, I wanted to say that put in some like helpful reminders. First off is that with this personality test, it's a lot. There's a temptation to make it about putting people in boxes and sort of characterizing people, especially the like analytical brains can sort of like putting people in boxes, but it's actually most powerful when it's not to put people in boxes and to more like connect with others, empathize with others, connect other people, understand yourself, all that type of stuff. And the second important distinction to make is that Myers Briggs is about people's tendencies. It's not like who you inherently are 24/7. It's just your tendencies. What's your like instinctive base place of reacting? Where's this coming from? Where, like, how does your brain work? What do you value? That type of stuff. So it's about tendencies. There's a lot of like nuance in there that a lot of people ignore. It's totally with each letter code. It's a spectrum. There's exceptions. There's nuance. Yeah. And the third important distinction to make is that it's like no personality type is better than others. Like if your thoughts drive your feelings versus your feelings drive your thoughts, like there's no, like emotions aren't in the same way that in my overthinking video, overthinking is not that bad. Like feeling a lot is also not bad. There's no personality type that's better than others. And yeah, with each of the distinctions, characterizations that Myers-Briggs makes, there's like healthy versions of each personality type, and there's not so healthy versions of every personality type. So yeah, definitely don't feel bad, I guess, about whatever personality type you've got, or don't feel like you're better than other people based on what personality type you've got. Hey, Ian, awesome to see you here. Javier, yeah, William Nelson is doing a whole week's worth series, I think, on the like personality tests. I'm not quite sure if it's specifically Myers-Briggs, but yeah, he's definitely talking about it. So fourth distinction that's really important to make about Myers-Briggs is that it's not a horoscope. As I said sort of earlier before I started talking, if you don't really know yourself very well, like you're not going to be able to answer the questions very well. And they like some people aren't like don't think about aren't like analyzing everything all the time. So sometimes they're not quite at like they can't answer the questions as easily. So it's if you don't know yourself very well, sometimes your results can be sort of not quite accurate. It should never be, it's not a horoscope. It's never should be telling you something you don't already know about yourself. It should just be like giving you a context or language to understand yourself or other people better. And then, yeah, lastly, final distinction is it's not for everyone. It's just not. And that's totally fine. It's sometimes, yeah, some people just think it's BS, or some people aren't into just analyzing in that same way, or the framework it gives, they just don't, it doesn't click with them. That's totally fine. Yeah, so it's not for everyone. Yeah. All right. So anything before we start breaking down the actual letters? Yes. Yeah, Audrey just passed 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is insane. I loved her Dan Mace video of the intro thing. That was just like, no, like I've met Audrey in real life, and like that just took it to a new level. And also the way she did it was she did it sort of the hard way and she put in the time. But yeah, I don't know. Her follow through is amazing, and I'm really glad that she got recognized for all that work she put in. Okay, so here's the part that often confuses people, are the letters. Okay. Can you guys see that? Okay, so as I said before, you take the test on 16personalities.com. You get spit out like a combo basically of all these letters, and you they tell you in aggregate it tells you a little bit about it forms a unique personality type that you can draw some conclusions from. Okay, so the first area of distinction that Myers Briggs distinguishes between is introverted versus extroverted. So it's not really how you do. It's not like how social you are. It's more like deep down where you draw your energy from. When you retreat, do you retreat like into people? Do you retreat like, okay, I need some space from people? Or is it, do you need to hang out? This is one in particular where I think you just need to like know it yourself. This one's often like the test can get sort of misguided. Like for instance, it often thinks that I'm extroverted because I like getting to know people and talking with people, and I'm pretty social. But deep down, I know that I myself am introverted and need some space sometimes. Or, you know, on the spectrum, I'm extroverted introvert, but I know for myself I am introverted. So in your heads, mark that down. I is for introvert, E is for extrovert. And then Ian, yeah, you just sort of know, I think. That's one that's a distinction that most people know. So now is for a really interesting one, in my opinion. It's between N and S. N stands for intuitive, S stands for sensing. But as I said, one of the confusing things about Myers-Briggs is like sensing. What does that, like, that's not quite the best way to word what N and S are about. So N and S, this distinction right here is a lot about how you think about things, the way you see the world. It's not about action, it's about how you process the inputs that are happening. So N likes to think about things that are not quite there, like that are abstract, that like take a step back, big picture, reflective, in your head, overthinking. Like those are usually qualities that are associated with N. Very reflective, overthinking, big picture, abstract, think about things that are not there. Sensing is sort of the opposite of that. The sensing is where you are very grounded, you live in the moment, the way you process the world is like based on your experiences and your surroundings and like what is literally happening. So on the extreme, one funny way to sort of figure out if you are N or S is like, you could have this a group of people go on the same trip to the beach. You go hang out with your friends, and then you go to a coffee shop after. The N person might, after the trip, describe like, man, it was, so special that we had that trip. I got to hang out with my friends. It was so awesome that, even though we don't see each other very often, like at our core, like we're just so meaningful to each other. And I'm really glad that we got to have that quality time together. Something very, along those lines. The sensing person would be a lot more on the extreme into describing how awesome the experience was. So like, it was so awesome. We found firewood, and then we had trouble starting the fire. And then we started the fire, we hung out, we had awesome, tasty s'mores. And then we went to the coffee shop, and the coffee shop was super cute because it had like awesome decorations, and it just felt like it's all about the experience. And so, it's very interesting. Usually the differences between N and S are very difficult for people to bridge because it's like inherently how you're sort of seeing the world, and it's so different that often it can be hard to understand the other person. So like in my beach example, right, the person would be like, the N person might be like, wait, why are you just like listing what we did? Why can't you like describe why it was meaningful to you, or stuff like that? That's so shallow. And then the sensing person would be like, dude, why were you just in your head thinking the entire time instead of enjoying the moment? Why? Like, we could have had the same special experience for you, but it could have been in a living room or a basement. Like, why did we drive all that way to go to the beach if all you're going to do is just you know did none of that matter? And so sometimes there can be sort of a dissonance there. So NS, abstract thinking, sort of in your head, big picture, that type of stuff. Sensing would be very in the moment, experience driven, that type of stuff. Perception. So thinking versus feeling, that's basically the way I like simplifying it is, do your thoughts drive your feelings, or do your feelings drive your thoughts? Usually, let's see. Let's see. One clear way to figure out if you're T or F is, as you're doing this live, my apologies. We love listening. I don't know, Joe. So the a good way to distinguish if you're T or F is, the T people tend to be very solution based, because their thoughts drive their feelings. They're like, they get stuck because they can't find a way out. Like, intellectually, they can't find the solution. They can't find a new angle. And so as soon as you present them with the solution, they stop feeling whatever they were feeling before. Like, they could be super frustrated, or they could be super angsty, or frustrated or confused. But then as soon as you give them a new way to look at it, they're like, oh, okay, cool, I'm done. And for the feelings, it would be like, the feelings people actually feel it's insensitive if you're just offering solutions, because it feels like you're just trying to dismiss their problem. The feelings people, instead of like wanting to immediately find the solution, they want you to really understand and empathize and sit with and understand, yeah, exactly, like how they were actually feeling. They don't want you to dismiss their problems. They want you to really understand how you're feeling. So that's a good way to figure it out. You can think back on like the fights you might have had with your relationship, and you can see which way you felt like you were sort of stepped on a little bit. And okay, so lastly, there's the judging versus perceiving distinction, which those two especially are just terrible words to describe what it's actually about. Judging versus perceiving, J and P. In the same way that this was about the way you think about things, the way you see the world, this is a lot more about how you're actually taking action, the way your tendencies about taking action. So J is, you like structure, you like things a little bit more black and white, you like things, you like to be on time, you like to be organized. And P is, you don't really like structure, you're often sort of late or disorganized, and you are very spontaneous. So that's one. This is one that I don't think, in this introvert, extrovert, J and P doesn't really matter as much, I think, because it sort of shifts depending on what context you're in. Like, even the spontaneous guy, if you got to work and you got to go to work at 9 to 5, like, you're going to be on time because you're going to lose your job if not. So those are a little bit more malleable. So these don't really matter. But usually if you think about yourself, you can say, am I someone who tends to add structure to what is happening, or like try to just avoid it? So like, for instance, if someone was like, hey, in 2 weeks, we're going to go drive on a road trip to Canada. it'll be so much fun, blah, blah, blah. Are you the type who's like, ooh, okay, like, wait, how are we going to pay for that? What supplies do we need? We need to, make some Google Docs, like figure this out so it's not a disaster. And this person's like, all right, like, let's just figure it out as it goes. Like, it'll be super fun. I'm sure it'll be fine. That type of stuff. So yeah, that's sort of what the letters mean. The reason why it's super powerful to understand these distinctions, like for me, this just gives you a framework to sort of like quickly jump to maybe what the problem is, what disconnect is. Bye, Joe. It's good to see you. This is just a really quick way to sort of understand other people, what values they have, what's meaningful to them, so you can sort of bridge that gap. Like, as I said before, like, if the person you're fighting with or interacting with or whatever is more feelings based, you probably want to slow down on like dumping solutions on them and want to like actually affirm them and like listen to their feelings. Or in the same way, like, if this person jumps to solutions and that seems a little insensitive, like maybe you just like in your head say like, hey, that's sort of the way that he or she solves their problems and processes it, like you gotta sort of roll with it. Or in the same way, like Jay, black, like structure, planned out, black and white, spontaneous guy, like I'm on the spontaneous side. So if someone's like camping trip or something falls apart, I'm the type of guy who I'll be like, it's not a big deal. Whatever. But that can be super, super frustrating and irritating for someone who likes structure and likes things to be a certain way, and doesn't like things like in a sort of chaotic way. Yes, Justin. Spontaneous jump to solution. So that would be this and this. And also, like, sometimes we can be a little bit judgmental of the way that other people like enjoy experiences. So as I said before, like the N people can sometimes think that the S people are super shallow. But then the other people can be like, the S people can think that the N people are just like pretentious or like in their head or like not like uptight or like just always thinking for no reason. Or sometimes there's certain behaviors that are like with certain personality types, with certain personality types, it leads to certain tendencies on how you enjoy things. So if you're sensing, for instance, like, because it's so experience driven, you're more likely to be like, I love going to concerts, I like buying things, I like that type of stuff, because you enjoy the experience. You enjoy like having those new shoes or those new whatever, like that you get a high from. And I'm just really into quality time, and that can be wherever. It doesn't really matter like what actual physical context I'm in. And so, yeah, like I need to appreciate that that's just the way that they sort of enjoy experiences and stuff. Let's see some of the comments. Yes. INFP for life. Yeah, yeah, that's not surprising. INFP. I'm not going to say anything about INFP. Yeah, no, INFP is really awesome. A lot of my close friends are INFP. One big thing Joelle and I have started doing recently that we love is sitting on the grass and just being. That's really awesome. That seems like you're able to get out of your head and sort of live in the moment a lot. That's really cool. So let's see. Are there any other? Yeah, I wanted to keep it brief and sort of concise so that you could sort of understand what this was talking about and you don't just get random letters at the end. As I said, it's really, really helpful for understanding other people like if they're introverted, like I mean that's the most common sense one. If they're introverted, like you can't be in their face uh talking to them all the time. Audrey, I am INTP. So I am introverted, an extroverted introvert, but I am definitely introverted. I'm very this one sort of abstract, think about what things mean, overthinking, that type of stuff. Thinking, yeah. I'm very solutions based. Um, my thoughts definitely drive my feet. Like I can be stuck. Like, oh shoot, I don't know whether I should go to med school or do videography, and uh, I I used to have that dissonance, and then as soon as someone like had a conversation, was like, hey, maybe you should think about it this way, or maybe you should think about it this way, dissonance feeling all just sort of evaporated immediately. Um, Instead of, yeah, like there were a lot of people who were like, oh, I totally know what you feel, like you're in this in between spot, and it's really confusing and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, I know, that's how I'm feeling, but like I'm stuck, I want to get out. And so it was really way more helpful for people to provide solutions. I'm sorry if you can't read the board. That's sort of a bummer. I will put all this hopefully in the description or something. And then I am definitely spontaneous. More go with the flow, add structure. I mean, like I can be organized and responsible, obviously, but my base tendencies are definitely to be more spontaneous, go with the flow, that type of stuff. So one interesting thing that I think we could do is I mean, I think about what other people's personality types are sort of a lot. Usually when I'm talking with them or just figuring them out, or trying to connect with them or encourage them, it's not that I'm trying to find their Myers Briggs, like whenever I'm talking to them, it just sort of happens. Like, I'm like, okay, what are these people valuing? Like, what is a way that I can, sort of match where they're at? And recently I was thinking about Casey Neistat and what his Myers Briggs would be. Hey, Sukit, I can't ever say, yeah, good to see you. And so, does anyone have any guesses what Casey Neistat's Myers Briggs would be? I have done considerable thought on it, and I'm pretty like 95% sure I'm right. Austin, yes, I too. I'm not surprised that I have two streams going. I had some difficulties earlier. ENTJ for Casey Neistat. Okay, interesting guess. So we're gonna start with okay, so we're gonna start with the more obvious ones. So Casey is the guy who like tattoos his arms with like random stuff and is all about like living the moment, his experiences, and that type of stuff. And so he is definitely S. He definitely thinks about things, but he also, like, if you look at his track record of like running and like it's very activity driven. It is sensing. So he is an S for sure. And if you listen to the podcast, you can also see that he's very solutions based and very like sort of rational and can be insensitive sometimes. He just is always looking for the solution and how to sort of move forward. And so he is definitely on the thinking side of it. He's very like, these are the conclusions I've made. And yeah, I just think that that's the way things are. And, like it's very just like, I've thought about it. This is the answer, instead of really sitting with other people's feelings. And that's why him and Candace can sort of fight a lot. He's definitely P for sure. Like especially if you listen to the podcast, he hates meetings. He hates like having his schedule planned out. Um, he he is very organized in his office. As I said, like there's exceptions, but like at a core level, if you look overall at his tendencies, they're very spontaneous, go with the flow. He really hates adding structure to things because he thinks that like he'll miss opportunities for other things, which is, I mean, like that's what being spontaneous is. Bye, Javier. ENTJ for Chiquetu. Nice. That's awesome. And so the last one, I was looking online what other people think for introvert or extrovert. A lot of, I saw basically this guy who does this for celebrities said that Casey Neistat was an ISTP. And I 100% agree with him. But when I looked at the comments, everyone was super mad because they're like, how can you say that Casey is an introvert? Like he's always hanging out with people. He's always, socializing. How could he be? He's totally an extrovert. He's always meeting new people. No, not really. If you listen to the podcast, if you sort of like read into what he's actually doing, he really likes his space. He really likes to retreat, to get rest. He really likes sort of having his own personal, he relaxes by having his own personal space and time away from people. And so, yeah, I am like 98% sure that if Casey were to answer the Myers Briggs personality test, it would be ISTP. Yeah, I think Cody Warner said that he is an ENTP. The P is sort of obvious because he's late for everything. He really struggles with structure, and he's always super spontaneous. And the other things you can piece together for yourself. I don't know him as well. I mean, I definitely know him pretty well from his videos and live streams, but again, not where I could conclusively be like, I've seen him in his everyday life. This is, what he's about. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the Myers Briggs personality test. Thanks guys for listening, hanging out. If you have any questions, I'm going to hang out for like 2 or so more minutes. And yeah, if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them. This test is just super fun for me. Just with the way that my brain's always overthinking things and trying to sort things out. And so having these distinctions on like, wait, why is that person doing that? Why are these people why are these people reacting like that? This sort of gave me a base level of distinction so that I could like stop stepping on people's toes sometimes, or like encourage people better, or connect with other people better, in a really fun way. So, yeah. Bye, Jesse. Thanks, Scott. Thanks for listening. I really appreciate all of you guys. This YouTube thing is one of my favorite things going on in my life right now. And even though I can't really like express in my comments exactly like how appreciative I am, I really appreciate you guys, and the fact that you guys show up and tune in and watch videos and share and all this stuff all around the world. It just blows my mind. Hey, my mom's on there and she says I'm like my dad. There's a lot of similarities. All right, I think it's time to wrap it up. I'll see you guys later. Thank you guys so much. Peace. Thankful for you guys.